I'm very fascinated by language and how languages evolve, words evolve, how words become part of our vocabulary and even enter into mainstream consciousness. And particularly, I'm recently fascinated by how people refer to their partners, people that they're in relationships with that they love, and how do we arrive at those names? That's what I'm going to talk about or explore today. Earlier this month, March, I gave a talk at the World Information Architecture Day in Ghent, and the theme was context. One of the speakers talked about something in a larger scale that I touched on in my talk, which is about how words can mean different things to different people in different situations. And it got me thinking about the evolution of words. And this is something I think about a lot. Like when I hear a word for the first time, it's like, how did that word come to mean this thing? Especially in English, where it seems like there's no internal consistency in, like, the plural of house is houses, but the plural of mouse is not mouses, for example. And so that's something I think about a lot. I'm very fascinated by, like, the origins of words and how words change meaning. So for example, the word severally means separately or individually, right? But in Nigerian English, and for a very, very long time, people use severally to mean repeatedly, like something happens many times. And eventually it got into the dictionary. And before then, people always complain, like, the meaning of severally is not this. This is what it means. It doesn't mean to use something repeatedly, but it means separately, which is all well and good, right? But then how do words shape meaning, or how do words take meaning? I think that meaning is developed from whatever people think it is. So things mean something because people decided that it meant that. And it's not like they all came together and had a conversation and said, okay, now this word means this. It's just that people start using words in a certain way, and then it catches on and it catches on, and then that becomes the meaning of the word. Whether a dictionary recognizes that or not is irrelevant to the point where that people are using the word in that way, and so in that context it means that thing. An example I gave in my talk was about when you say the word stove. When you say the word stove, the image that comes to mind of a 27, 25 to 40, 50-year-old Nigerian is not the same image that comes to the mind of someone who is in the Netherlands of that same age range, because it conjures two different images. And I will link to the slide where I give that illustration in my deck in the show notes as well. So meaning takes shape based on many things, including our culture, our context, our previous interactions, and all of those things. So, like the example that the other speaker gave, if I say the word chip, what do you picture? Do you picture fries? Do you picture crisps? Do you picture an electric chip, like a computer chip? Or do you picture a casino coin? Those all refer to the word chip. And that is so fascinating to me. Like, how did that come to happen? And in the case of literally and figuratively, how literally now means figuratively. Like, what? Basically, the word literally used to mean only that you use something in a literal sense. And then people started using it in a different way to emphasize something, to emphasize, even though it's not in a literal manner, but figuratively, right? People started using it that way. And now it has become part of the vocabulary of the world, basically. No, maybe not the world, but like of certain groups of English speaking people. Which brings me now to what I talked about earlier about how people call their partners and people that they love. I've been observing people around me for a while, in people in romantic relationships, and how they refer to their partner. If you're speaking to me and I say I'm fair, I'm talking about my husband. And I have talked about him this way since when we were dating. And why did I choose that? It's because all the other words that people used to use, like, to refer to their partner, like babe or boo or whatever, they used to make me cringe. I just didn't like them personally, right? I mean, people do that and they're fine with it. When I'm talking to my friends, I'm like, hey boo, hey girl, hey sis, whatever. But with my partner, I was like, no, I don't like that. And so I cycled through some words in Yoruba, which is the language that my tribe speaks, which is also the name of my tribe. But I cycled through some words that people used to refer to people that they love in my language. And we explored some things and I ended at IFM. When we're talking to each other, or I'm calling his attention or he's calling mine, whether in a group or whatever context, we use Ife. And Ife means love. And people are always like, but that's not your husband's name. When the first time like they see that happen, it's like, yeah, but that's just what we call each other because it's not. I don't know anybody who does that. But that's not why I picked it. I didn't pick it because it was unique or whatever. I picked it because I liked it, and we both continued using it. And I've seen people call their partners different things. I recently made a new friend in the Netherlands, and they call each other my G. And I've seen people call their partner just by their first name. I've seen people do baby. I've seen people do lover. And it's just so fascinating to me. Like, how do you decide or arrive at the decision of what quote unquote pet name, I hate that phrase, but pet name to call your partner? How do you get there? How do you know that this is what you want to choose? So, anyway, if you have heard any interesting quote unquote pet names, or you have an interesting one, I would really like to hear about it and how you arrived at it. So you can either leave a comment wherever you're listening to this or send me an email. I'm really curious and I really, really want to know. Thanks for listening. Bye. Hi. Please submit a question through the link in the show notes and I will do my best to answer on the podcast. Bye. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of A Couple of Things. If you enjoyed this episode or found any part of it insightful, don't forget to share with your friends on your social media and be sure to leave a comment or a review if you can on your podcast listening app. Thank you.